morning. My name is Lou McMurrin. Along with Joe here, I am the co-manager of the Future of Work Task Force underneath the State Workforce Board. This task force was created by legislation in Olympia last year. The task force got appointed over the summer. Joe and I got hired in September, and we produced an initial report in December. And we now have and we can tell you all about more stuff later, but a big charge for looking at all the things that related to future-proof, if you will, Washington's businesses and workers. My background, actually, I had 25 years of government relations and lobbying experience in Olympia, as well as some other states. Have a financial services, local government, represented the PUDs for 3 years, and then represented the high-tech industry for 14. For the last actually 4+ years before I got this position, I was in business for myself. So I've done Uber driving, I've done sales and marketing, I've done cold calling, a little bit of lobbying. So and then for a year I worked for a software startup. So just really excited to be here, and thinking Mike Brennan says to say hello.
Oh. Yeah. And I'm Joe Wilcox. So I also, as Lou said, came on in September on this project. Before that, I was in the private sector doing a lot of economic analysis, risk assessment, most of it abroad, a lot of it in Southeast Asia. So I dealt a lot with kind of recovery. There's a lot of typhoons and agriculture and a lot of damage and stuff like that. So I've done some analysis of emergency management, disaster response, and things like that. But primarily, it's been a lot of economic development, developing countries. So thanks for allowing us to be here.
You're welcome, guys. And so one of the thank you for coming down. I hear you had to challenge a little bit with the snow.
It wasn't too bad. It's not
Not
yet.
too bad.
So,
But they are working for the next year, right?
Right.
But they're really here today to talk to and hear from us again about what we see as the impacts of the future of work. How is technology and automation and everything that just seems to be swirling around us very rapidly right now. How is it going to affect the current jobs that we are in and our students are getting trained to? And what are we going to need to think about as a state in making changes so that we make sure that we are not diminishing jobs and making a further gap between the haves as far as those who are in jobs that are going to be growing and they've got the skill sets, and the people who currently are in jobs where they may end up having automation and technology eliminate those jobs and or retool those jobs so that unfortunately the human beings in them get less value as far as the performance that they might do, and then end up getting less wages. So we're really so we're going to be talking with our board more this afternoon at lunch and our college here. And so certainly you guys want to think about chiming in and sharing your thoughts. They'll be, I know, once we get the connections, we'll make sure you have everybody's mailing list and emails, but they will be talking with all of us across the state about that. So welcome.
Bend, we have pretty much starting off the ground. We have one of the biggest programs in the country for unmanned systems at the community college level. Very important to remember that, at the community college level. So we're not competing with North Dakota and little places like that. So a bit of a different program. We're more focused on what students are likely to use this thing for as a tool out in the field versus university that might be more interested in R&D, corporate jobs, that sort of thing. But okay, so basically, as I said, I work with Big Bend. My background is also the president of Rock County Search and Rescue, on the board for AUVSI Cascade, which is the national sort of drone body in the States. I'm also on the board for the UAS Center of Excellence, which Linda spoke about. We're not tied in directly with them, but we do work very closely together with them. They're a brand new Center of Excellence. So it's all been established there. As I said, they've been very helpful to us, and we do work quite closely with them. So as far as the program at Big Bend goes, we program started out through a Title V grant through the federal government. We received about $2.6 or $7 million for a 5-year grant. We've got about 18 months left, and we were in the first year of the hard launch of the program. So everything up until about a year ago, kind of just building, getting the curriculum together. Those of you who are involved in community colleges know how long it takes to kind of push things through the state government. It does take a little bit of time before we get the ball rolling. So we've got about 18 months left. We have an associate's degree in technology for unmanned systems, for mechatronics as well, which ties into that. So learning how to build things like unmanned systems. As you know, a lot of production lines these days are becoming more and more automated. Blue collar jobs are changing a lot compared to what we used to in the last 20 or so years. And we also have a certificate program, and that's kind of what I'm here today to sell a little bit. The certificate program has been by far our most popular offering. And that is largely to do with the way that the industry sees unmanned systems and the way in which I sell this program. And my experience in the industry so far has taught me that, or shown me that there are not a lot of jobs out there, or there's not really a career path for just the drone pilot. There are exceptions to that, as Luann and I discussed last night, but I'm going to stick to my guns and say that for the most part, the industry is looking for people with some kind of industry or some kind of background in this. Because ultimately the drone is just a tool, a data collection tool. Most of the time, you're collecting some kind of digital data, which falls into the world, falls into the realm of something called GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, digital mapping. And so I'm a geographer by trade, with a master's degree in South Dakota State in Geography and GIS systems, and bought my first drone as a grad student, and started mapping, and with my passion for education, kind of tied this into the school's program, kind of went from there. So ultimately what I'm saying is just the drone is just a tool. The drone is just a tool for your industry. And so we're seeing the industry, or multiple industries at the moment, that are really hungry, as I say, for someone with a traditional industry background who can also use this modern tool. Why? Because it's a data collection tool. And so the farmer, the cop, the construction guy, the forest ranger, they're all going to use the same drone, but they're going to use it in fundamentally different ways. The data which is important to them, how it needs to be collected, how it's managed, and how it's analyzed is all very different. So me, for example, with my family being involved in agriculture, that's kind of my background as far as UAS goes. I'm delving a little bit deeper now into law enforcement, working with the Grand County Sheriff and search and rescue as well. So as I say, the data requirements are very, very different. As a farmer, I need special sensors, something called an NDVI sensor, which looks in different ways, which sunlight reflects on the plant leaves, so I can create vegetation maps. But as a search and rescue guy, I need something with really powerful zoom on it, so I can see the baddies from far away, or again, something with maybe a thermal camera on it, so that I can find a warm body in a dark field, or a cold field, or a marsh, or something like that. So again, it's all about the sensors on the drone, it's all about the data. And so while I can fly the drone, I might not be able to tell you where on that wind turbine I need to look for cracks, which nuts and bolts are likely to get rusted, be in trouble, need to be replaced. So again, the technician would have to come out with me, show me what he needs to look at, and I can then help him with that. But again, it's all about the data, it's not just flying the drone. So that's why our certificate offering is so popular, because it ties in, or it's able to tie in to many other degrees. Again, it's just a tool that you can specialize in. So at Big Bend, our certificate program is tied in with ag technology, homeland security, and with commercial aviation. So students are able to take my unmanned systems courses, my GIS, my data courses, as part of their degree for ag tech, homeland security, criminal justice, and commercial aviation. Because again, it's just a tool that is used in these fields. And so, if you're looking at the job market these days, we're seeing a lot of jobs out there for law enforcement officer who has experience with unmanned systems, or construction engineer with a background or experience with unmanned systems. Because again, it's all about the data. They're looking for somebody who knows about their industry, but can use this tool for their industry. So looking at Linda's Center of Excellence for Homeland Security and Emergency Management, we sort of cottoned on to their idea, and basically we're copying it, for lack of a better term. If you look at our documentation, we get a little bit more. It's basically copied directly from what they've created there, and largely that is because it's a great program, but also it's to help us get through state government, through our local administrators, because as we know, again, everything takes time, especially with community colleges. Everyone is busy, there's a lot going on. The AG usually wants to chime in if there's some kind of legal document that needs to be signed. So in using something where there's precedent set already, it's really helped things go pretty smoothly when working with partner colleges. So basically, we've got the certificate program, we've got online curriculum available, which we're farming out to our consortium partners, very similar to the Homeland Security program. Everything is available online, which teaches you about mission planning, laws and safety. There's intro to unmanned systems, there's intro to data, there's advanced data modeling, there's a whole lot which this encompasses. And again, it's all about the data, it's all about GIS and using this tool for that. And so everything's available online, which allows students from your partner colleges to sign into one centralized classroom. So we have students from around the state, different colleges from around the state, from different programs. So there's a little bit of learning, cross-learning there with students, which is quite fantastic. Everything's available online except for the flight operations courses. And because of this wonderful grant that we have a lot of funding available for equipment. We have 50 plus drone systems at the moment, more than I can use at the moment. So if schools are able to get signed on before the end of the grant, I can earmark money towards equipment for your program on your campus, for example. So ideally, what we shoot for is that if you sign up as a partner school with us, I can train someone on your campus, and we can conduct flight ops training on your campus as part of your program, and we can help tailor that to your specific needs so that your school can maintain its identity or its specialization, because we all know that colleges around the state have different identities and specializations. We don't want to step on anybody's toes, so if you have GIS curriculum, for example, which some schools already do, we'll help you modify your GIS curriculum to fit into this, to fit into the unmanned systems tool. So again, the idea is not to take away any students from you, we want to add on any extra students, not to make any money off of you, and for you not to lose any money. It's supposed to be a fairly budget endeavor, as it is with the Homeland Security Consortium. So again, we've got this grant available. If you sign up, the option is there for me to come to your campus or for you to come to me. I'll train you up, potentially provide you with equipment as long as you're signed up. Or what we're looking at in some other partner schools who don't have faculty that are interested or capable of using this tool, we would hire an adjunct possibly that could service a couple of schools. Or we could work something out financially that might cost a little bit of money. We can send one of my instructors to your school or send students to the event, but it is kind of far away. But the point I'm trying to get across is there are options there. We are still fairly flexible. We've got about 18 months left for grant. We're still roughly about $1 million left. Not all towards equipment, but a lot of it for that. So as I said, we do have more than we can make available, but we use ourselves at Big Bend. We're the biggest campus in the state by square acreage, the smallest in terms of student numbers. And so for the sustainability of our program, we need to farm this out because again, we're a small school. But as I've said, this is a tool that ties into almost every single program or every single college around the state, not just around the state, but the Pacific Northwest, if not the entire country. This is really a tool that I would like to see on every single campus, every single college in the United States. But drones are expensive, instructors are hard to come by, curriculum is difficult to build from the ground up, you've got no experience. So the idea of consortium really makes sense to me because again, I really feel strongly that if our students in Washington State are going, or Oregon, there is potential there as well, if our students in the Pacific Northwest are going to stay competitive, we need to offer the ability for them to get trained up with the latest tools available. Because again, what we're seeing is not necessarily a lot of jobs out there for drone pilots. We've seen a lot of traditional jobs out there that are now asking for knowledge with this tool. So that's the idea behind the consortium. We want to centralize the curriculum. make sure that every college can have access to a sustainable program, because again, curriculum is hard to come by, the equipment's expensive, instructors are hard to come by, and with this tool being a fairly technical thing, it's easy to take the drone up, to use it in a professional manner, to collect the data, to analyze that data. That takes a little bit of doing, that takes time with a special student. So people get very excited about this, but when they start learning how technical it is, it actually ends up losing a lot of students. Those of you who have GIS programs on your campus know what I'm talking about. There's always work out there for the GIS expert, but it's still a tough course to fill out because it's a very technical skill. And so with unmanned systems, even if you only have 1 or 2 students interested from your campus, the sustainability of your unmanned program on your campus is not in danger because you're tied into one centralized program for Washington State or the Pacific Northwest. So I mentioned Washington State because that's where I am, but my dean says there are opportunities, so there is a possibility of signing schools from other colleges if they are interested. So that's basically it in a nutshell, how it works financially. I can't tell you all the nuts and bolts. Linda would have a better idea. My dean, Gary Rich, she would have a better idea, so I can get you in touch with her if you're interested. But basically the way it works is, again, you've got to get the curriculum into your catalog. You've got to go through whatever internal processes you've got there. We provide you with the MCOs, the Master Course Outline, so we've done heavy lifting as far as that goes. You've got to get it into your curriculum. Students sign up through your college. You retain your FTE, you retain your tuition money. We bill you for the lab and instructor fees at the end of the quarter. So again, it's supposed to be a fairly budget-neutral endeavor. We're not looking to make any money off of you. We don't want you to lose any money. And again, our grant requirements, we need students in our classes, so I'm looking to service my grant as well as the state of Washington and the Pacific Northwest. Because grant aside, I do feel very strongly this is a very, very popular tool. It's becoming more and more popular in multiple industries, and we're doing our students a disservice if we don't offer them access to this tool in the next couple of years. So that's basically it in a nutshell. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
What kind of math and science skills would a student need as prerequisites to?
So for the certificate program, because one is available to the community as well, there are no prerequisites. For the degree program, there are the standard prerequisites, math, science, English, that sort of thing. But again, the degree we're offering on our campus, but the certificate program is for everybody else. So if you'd like to set up your own requirements for that, you're more than welcome to. As I say, we're just making the curriculum available. How you choose to use it is up to you.
I was going to ask, how you parting between the actual training and the education piece and the application and the professional side? Because I mean, there's a lot of industries.
Yes, there are a lot of industries. So as I say, the foundation there is really GIS. And so if you understand geographic information systems, you kind of understand UAS in general. And so that's why I'm so adamant about tying this into other programs. It's just a tool that's kind of used there. So as I've said, we offer foundation curriculum. We do have some specialized courses available at Big Bend for our programs. If your college is interested in something like that, we can help you create that curriculum. So again, if you have a more specialized homeland security or something like that, we can help you create curriculum specifically for your campus. So I realize, we're not offering kind of this general baseline curriculum. We can't offer as much as we would like to, maybe with the Center of Excellence as it becomes more prominent in the state. There are going to be opportunities there, but at the moment, we're kind of just offering baseline or foundation curriculum. My experience has shown me that, again, if you have some kind of background in your industry and understand GIS, it's a relatively small jump to make. You can benefit from specialized classes. We don't offer those at the moment outside for our consortium. We can help you develop that on your own.
So I know that Ryan Leonard, who is criminal justice program,
Yeah.
Ryan is on our Zoom, has sent out email and an invite to all the, correct Ryan, of the 20 other criminal justice programs to describe how they could maybe utilize the drone program in matching it up. And so do you want to just share that briefly with folks?
Sure, that's fine. Yes, I did send out an email to all the criminal justice faculty but also for my program, we're gonna be on the HCI advisory committee. I'm gonna put 3 of the courses for the GIS, or for the GIS student in my list of possible electives for my CJ program, which would then mean that they would only need to take another 3 classes, which is 1 quarter's worth of credit outside of the CJ degree to complete the UAS certificate. So I think trying to balance the credits and the requirements for my program, that was the best way that made sense for us here at Big Bend. And then provide students, just 1 extra quarter's worth of material that they have to complete on their own. So I think it was a good balance.
So, any other questions? Folks, we've got, yes.
I don't know if this is not a ridiculous question, but is this something that can be offered or be available from the start of the year?
Absolutely, and that's something which we have been approaching schools about. The issue there is that the school districts individually set up what they accept for at the start. So it takes a lot of outreach and a lot of effort to get that going because every school district is different. I really wish it was a statewide effort, but it's just so difficult to approach these districts individually. And if you call a school, you don't get anywhere. They might try and take a message or send you over to an advisor's office and you leave a message. But I've contacted maybe 20 high schools since I've been around, and maybe one more school in 4 years. So
Just wondering if you went OSPI
So the good news is that we actually are taking the steps to make that connection with OSPI. With our the governor's and OSPI's Career Pathways initiative, we are putting together a statewide working group that involves OSPI and the workforce boards of the governor's office and others to look at what we can do because we really want to push our career pathways down into K-12. And we want to make these available because young people don't even know over on that table, I think I've got our resource book that has got just our 6 career pathways. It's this thick with programs and opportunities that you could take. Our students at K-12 don't know the plethora of opportunities. What they do know, and Bob will talk about this a little bit too, but they know about fire and they know about criminal justice. And nursing are some of the ones that are pretty standard, but the other pathways that have been evolving, they are not aware of. And so we are really working on pushing that knowledge and getting way upriver so that we're starting them early so that they can also in our field, being able to get security clearances and some other things are critically important. And young people can end up eliminating themselves some really good jobs over a little thing that they didn't understand that will cause them
I
problems.
don't know if they'll figure 18 month window, but
so for high school, the certificate makes a lot of sense because it's a skill that they can learn in high school. If they're not sure which direction they want to go, they know they're using technology and unmanned systems, so they do the certificate and they decide which way they want to use that when they graduate. So yes, absolutely, you can just kind of have trouble getting the impression because of the way it's structured.
But it's good to hear from you that, we need our communities and our workforce folks to articulate this is important. And that we want to make sure that, because it takes funding and time, that we are there. We've made those agreements, and so we're moving forward on that.
If I hear you correctly, though, this would be tied to, like, say we have a science class, this would be part of that class. I think when Start Kids would jump at it, and it would be part of their high school diploma if
Yes.
it's the right classes.
Yeah, especially tied in with our mechatronics program, which I know Big Bend is working towards being able to offer that exclusively online. There, the students learn how to build things like unmanned systems. They build an entire 3D printer for less than $200. That's incredible what the kids can learn and do with relatively little amount of money. So yeah, there's a lot of interest. Like I said, it's just kind of tough to get into the high school system. It seems to be fairly fragmented across the states.
Well, they hate when it's there,
Yeah.
because they're right next to us.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps you said this, I'm curious, to operate the drones, do they need to have a pilot's license to do that? Or
To operate commercially, while they're being taught, they do not need to. The instructor needs to have, and the instructor is then responsible for anything that happens. So kind of just like when you teach someone to drive. But to operate commercially, they need the drone license, which is the FAA 107, and it costs $150 to get. And kind of just like drivers in high school, we teach you how to take the test. You then end up taking the test with the state and federal government, and whatever license facilities they have.
And that would enable them or credential them to be able to operate the drones as we make.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the state, sorry, the federal recognized drone license.
So, do you have any questions? No, I think guys that there's a lot of opportunities here and a lot of ways that this can be scaled and utilized. And we've got the resources. So there's several of the centers that are helping to get the word out. And
This is really something that, like I say, ties into so many different fields that it is a program on its own because we have the grant. But this is really something that should be tied into most programs you see around the state. Because again, it's just a tool used by multiple industries. And the last thing I'll mention on this question now is a lot of people want to ask, what does this end up costing? At the moment, depending on the course, it's around about $30 to $40 a credit. Courses range from 2 to 6 credits. That is likely to increase, especially once the grant falls away. But for the most part, we try and include everything the students have to buy in the lab fees, because especially at Big Bend or Latino Student College, the vast majority of our students have serious issues with finance or funding. And so I don't want to have to ask my students to go and swipe their credit and debit card and pay for a textbook or simulation software or something like that. It's all included in the class and lab fees, so that their state and federal funding takes care of it. Yes, sir.
I was just curious because you mentioned a couple of times how many different applications and uses there are for this, if there's any particular industries or areas where people are showing most interest.
The biggest ones at the moment, law enforcement, first response, or emergency management, agriculture, construction. Those are the big ones. We see a lot of use for cinematography, insurance, real estate, those kind of things as well. So those are the big ones. But like I say, it does tie into a lot of industries.
And we know that it's going to be moving into construction management because for critical infrastructure, it is easier to send a drone in and survey buildings, etc., and do all that work and keep people safe.
Any type of infrastructure inspection, whether it be construction, power lines, big one, dam walls. The Navy uses them to inspect the whole nation's lines.
And even for medical healthcare uses, because we have drones that are minuscule. For communications uses, we have swarms of little tiny drones that actually can move communications around. If you're in a big fire situation and you're having trouble with communications, you literally can create little swarms of drones that go and place themselves in the right areas.
Yes, so after the hurricane in Puerto Rico, AT&T went in with some drone systems and basically mounting like a 3G antenna onto the drone and taking that up and creating a sort of de facto tower that way. We're also seeing in the Netherlands, they're using drones to deliver defibrillators for emergencies that they're participating in that program at the moment. Companies like Malawi in Africa, they use drones to deliver medical supplies to areas that are hard to reach. So instead of using a couple of hours to get there by four-wheel drive, drone just flies over the jungle. Companies like Norway and the Netherlands again, they're using drones to deliver mail to some of their outlying islands. So it's not really something which is, I see, replacing a lot of jobs at the moment, but it's really, like I say, an additional another avenue to get the job done. This is for sure. And so we see a lot of jobs available in commercial aviation as well. There are a ton of jobs out there in the unmanned world with manned aviators because they have such a strong background in terms of risk mitigation and understanding the airspace. So companies like Boeing, Mitsubishi, MRJ, they're hungry for manned aviators with unmanned experience or some kind of unmanned background.
Is the military doing their own training or are they contracting with?
The military mostly does their own training, and so the military is a little bit different. The Predators, Reapers, the kind of big field bidders around the world, that's not really the kind of thing we work with. We're focused on small unmanned systems that people are likely to use in small to medium-sized industries or businesses. So very different to that kind of thing. That realm is more the realm of guys like North Dakota State or Imperial, guys involved in these really big multi-billion-dollar systems, a lot of R&D in there, and systems like that very much more in line with manned aviation than kind of unmanned aviation.
Yeah, in fact, down in, I forget the company name down, Boeing took them over.
In situ.
Situ, yeah, thank you.
In Red River.
They were the ones, I was in Bosnia when we first started actually using the drones in the military. And,
Yeah.
they were the ones that created the first drones that were used in combat operations.
Yeah.
So it was,
Yeah, I know the Marines these days, or some units get deployed with little drones that are the size of your hand. They're very expensive and super cool. I wish you could get access to some of them, but it's like I said, there's a lot of applications out there. We're not just seeing the big Predators and Reapers anymore. We're seeing little handheld deployed devices in the field, which is really, really cool. I know Washington State does do some training with that. The military pretty much handles that in themselves.
So, thank you, it's amazing and it's a great opportunity. So folks, if certainly just if you're interested, we'll talk more and we have Byron and others who can help with looking at how to create opportunities and cooperations.
Yeah, so please give me a shout if you have any more questions. I'd really love to get involved in the morning.
Yeah, for the colleges, actually, it's relatively easy because we just do interagency agreements. So,
The toughest thing is going through whatever committees you have to get your commitments okay. Honestly, that's the biggest pain for life of colleges to go.
yeah. So of course I say that Darren is actually, and I'm going to have Darren come up next to talk about his occupational health and safety program, which is also all online. And I have been supporting the expansion of this degree program for many years so that it can be delivered in other areas and by other colleges. And it's similar, and because it's all online, it can be shared through the same platform, which is actually all of our higher ed uses a shared platform to deliver our courses and curriculum. So this program is going to be under, there's some update on curriculum, and Darren will talk about that, but it is also a great opportunity to be able to be shared statewide.
So, as a career field, occupational safety and health is relatively new and it's definitely evolving. So, if you think about it, OSHA didn't even exist until the 1970s. So that's when the first laws came into place in terms of workplace safety. So since that time, it's been growing and growing. And what's happening now is really being recognized, and this was probably within the last 10 years, as an actual career field. Most people got into it accidentally, like they were told, you need to have this done, figure out how to do it. So they learned on the job. It has now transitioned to be more of an academic discipline to get into. So that being the case, degrees are becoming more kind of your minimum requirement to get into a job. So our program started about 10 years ago. It's very unique in the state in that it is a joint program between two different colleges. So even though I work for Edmonds Community College, I get paid by Pierce College. And the systems don't really work that well yet, but we've done it for 10 years. And what do I want to say? So that makes it unlike anything else that exists right now. If another program came into it, I'm not sure how we would make it work. We can do it somehow. But what I wanted to do is just kind of give you an overview of what the program is. Talk about our apprenticeship. So when I say it's shared by the two colleges, half of our students are Edmond students, the other half are Pierce College students. So that's a pretty huge geographic area that our students cover. And then we also have students enrolled from other parts of the state, especially on the Kitsap Peninsula area. We have a number of students who are enrolled. And for the past 10 years, it's been the only associate's program in Washington State Health and Safety. And I don't think there's even anything in Oregon right now, to my knowledge. So, it's a niche program, and that's why we have the shared college model, because no one college could really support it and sustain it. So that's what makes it work right now. We offer, the programs are pretty parallel at both colleges. So we offer an associate's degree in occupational safety and health. We offer a certificate in occupational safety and health, which is just basically all the health and safety classes lumped together. And then one thing that's unique at Edmonds is our apprenticeship program. And as a certified safety specialist, this is brand new. This is only, we're in our second year now. And actually, I think going into our third. So this is the first of its kind apprenticeship program in the country in health and safety. It's also the first state registered apprenticeship program that Edmonds Community College has ever done. So we were really cutting our teeth on what apprenticeship is. Pierce College does not offer any apprenticeship programs of any sort, so it's only available right now through Edmonds. And because it's so cutting edge, it's been a challenge for the industry to really get on that. What do I want to say? They're having a hard time adapting to it because it's a different way of getting into the field. And so there's a little bit of those people who just want that traditional, you get a bachelor's degree, you get a master's degree. So they don't necessarily like the hands-on learning on the job approach while you're in school. It's been interesting. And then there's others who like it, but what comes with apprenticeship is money. And how do you pay for the administration of an apprenticeship program? So that's been our other big challenge. We're a very non-traditional apprenticeship model. So far we have 2 registered apprentices. Well, it sounds like we may have our 3rd. I just got that email this week.
Oh, good.
So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It's got a huge amount of potential. Our one longest apprentice has been so successful. The company is really good for them. So, crossing my fingers, we can keep it going and keep building it. But when you're the first of your kind, it's always a challenge.
Do you want to just share a little bit about kind of the 4 jobs, the ranges of salaries for those jobs?
So right now, probably I would say your starting wage, if you have an associate's degree, would probably be in the 50,000s. 60,000 if you get into construction, it's even higher. So right now there's a huge shortage in construction in Puget Sound. Big demand for people that have both construction experience and health and safety experience. The way we teach our classes is the concepts are generic, so they apply to any industry, anytime. So when the economy goes down and construction crashes, the students will be able to apply their skills in any other type of industry. But they are certainly well-paying jobs for the level of education that is, you can get into it with. A large number of our students are actually worker retraining students that get entered on the job, and so they're looking for a new career path. They really recognize the importance of the field in terms of protecting workers, and so there's a lot of elements to that. What else would you like? Yes.
How is this funded? And who pays for the students' wage for the apprenticeship?
So the way an apprenticeship, we stood it up with a Department of Labor grant. So that was what we funded it initially. The employer actually has to fund the penalties and the administrative costs. So as an apprentice, in an apprenticeship, you are actually an employee of the company. The company is paying your wage, and then they're also paying the administrative fee and support that apprenticeship. So it really comes from the employer.
So what employers do you have employed?
Right now, we have a construction company. Haskell is it's in construction, but it's a bigger corporation. And then probably another construction company. They're the ones that have the money right now.
Are you guys able to count the hours that they've already spent on the
So this is part of our non-traditional apprenticeship model. The RSI is the main part of apprenticeship, so we have required classes that the student has to complete their apprenticeship. Now on the job component, they're actually not getting credit, college credit on the job. So they're getting just the hands-on experience. That's one thing that makes it very different than traditional apprenticeship.
So when you guys are, the training agents are talking about what they want in their curriculum, how do you guys conduct outreach for the training agents?
So that is all put on the sponsor. So as part of our non-traditional model, we didn't have a sort of nonprofit group that we traditionally have that deals with the education part of it. So we went with a private company. We didn't know what we were doing. And so if we could go back and do it differently, we might try a different model. But that was how we did it with this reason. It's not because it's not a traditional trade where you have groups to do it. We are an online program, so all of our courses are taught online, which does make it easier for the students to attend over the great distances that they can do. I don't think there's anything else. One of our challenges with being a shared program is the administration of it. The technology hasn't caught up yet to where we need to be to make it really seamless. So, adding another college is going to always be a challenge. It can be done, but I'm hoping that our new CPC Link data system for the colleges will help us overcome some of the barriers that we face now. But for the two colleges right now, the students, it's pretty seamless. Whether they're up here or whatever, they don't see the difference. The instruction is common.
I just have a question. Starting up the apprenticeship, areas, going through how it worked with LIS and all that, how is that process in terms of going from startup through the whole process? Is it difficult? Is it challenging? Is it easier?
Yes, it was a little bit challenging because LNI is used to looking at apprenticeship through this very traditional lens. When we throw anything non-traditional, they just can't. It doesn't, they don't, it's not apprenticeship, because it's not traditional way. So, it's been a challenge. But we were able, yeah, so we've been on probation for the past year. We just got our renewal to get approval this year, so that's a big milestone.
Yeah.
I was really curious about, safety is such a broad concept, and I actually taught some class about workplace violence as being a safety measure, and that's where they come from, the security. But because it's so broad, whether it's the management piece, the planning, the compliance, the actual physical post-loss investigations, things like that, how do you get all that curriculum into,
It's a challenge. I mean, so for our associate's degree, it's basically 99 credits. That's 8 quarters going full time. So we have Homeland Security Emergency Management courses, which are also offered online as electives. But it's really hard to squeeze all that into the curriculum. And students, when I tell students about the field, and I say, emergency management is part of what you will be doing. So I do try to get everybody to take at least one intro course into Homeland Security Emergency Management, because you wear 2 hats usually.
Well, Jared, thank you.
Well, good morning, I guess I'm digging into my 3 minutes here, so I'm gonna move on.
I think you've got 8 or
8?
10.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's gonna happen. I introduced myself briefly when we first went around the table. And I'm Bob Ward, and as I mentioned, I'm currently the coordinator for the Fire Command Degree program at Pierce College, but there's a whole lot more than that going on right now. I don't think I would be overstating to say this is a huge milestone for the fire service community, and I believe the Homeland Security community in Washington State. And I'm quite excited about what's happening, and I believe that the fire community in Washington State is too. I sent out a survey statewide, got a pretty good response, about 40%. Can you switch that to? It's in a PowerPoint, just hit the icon.
Could people see that a little better, the light out a little?
Yeah. On the bottom right, switch it to where it's got the little screen. There you go. How excited they are. I sent out a survey when we first looked at this, statewide to most of the departments, got a really good return, and 90% of the people that responded, the fire community responded saying, yeah, we really want this and we really need it. So I'd like to take just a minute to back up on my background, because I think that may have an impact on really kind of understanding the vision of what we're trying to do here. So I started in the fire service back in the early 70s, worked as a paramedic, worked in rural areas, retired after 27 years as a fire chief. After that, I spent a couple years as a training unit leader for FEMA, disaster or reservist training unit leader for FEMA, and did some contract work with a couple community colleges. Excellent job with your notification here, by the way. So I did that, and because of the background that I had in fire, and the background that I developed in Homeland Security, Pierce College needed somebody to come in and take care of the Homeland Security Associate Degree program as well as the Fire Command program. So Linda recruited me down, and I came and worked for the college for a few years. Was a coordinator for the Homeland Security program. Worked with Linda, the Center of Excellence, Curry, John, and many of you as we developed that up through the bachelor's degree program. Then they split the position. So I continued on with the Fire Command, and back then, Linda and I were having the conversations of, look, we put a bachelor's degree program together for the Homeland Security, let's do it for fire. And I'm going to explain a little bit of that, because again, it has to do with that vision. On our fire, of course, the college was still reeling a little bit after going through the first, and they weren't real anxious. So we've been working on that concept for a little while. The school finally, I shouldn't say finally, but the school got behind it, and we started moving on it. So I want to explain a little bit more kind of what brought us from there to here. If you're familiar with the fire service, or you've been around as long as some of us have, we've had the privilege of watching the fire service evolve
from the days when I got in, where our whole mission was to drive the big trucks to put the cold blue stuff on the hot red stuff, and that's what we did. And then over a period of time, we saw EMS develop, we saw emphasis on prevention, we saw emphasis on hazardous materials, and all these things growing to where the fire service has started to recognize, not starting to recognize, has recognized that they're a critical player in the homeland security provision or cycle of whole community all hazards. They're starting to wake up and say, no, we need to do more. So the fire service has been the epitome of the saying 100 years of tradition unmarred by forward progress, where we were quite good at hiring people, training them within our occupation, but we were not really addressing the education side of it. And quite frankly, that education side of it, in particularly Washington State, actually Oregon's ahead of us on that, has really fallen off. And we have a lot of people in the service that we recognize are well-trained technically competent, but don't really have the education to play with that whole community concept. You know, we weren't really there. We trained them within our own systems. And so the last, just a decade or two, there's been a much greater emphasis on the need to provide a higher education and degrees to our command officers. You can see how we got there. And we're going to be playing catch up for a while because there are a lot of people in advanced positions that don't have college degrees or more specifically don't have the kinds of critical thinking that goes along with going through college. So in follow-up to that recognition at the national level, the Fire Administration and FEMA and the National Fire Academy developed this professional development model. And this is fairly new in my career, to where really what this is saying is like I said, we've done a real good job on the training, the technical training side of it. And my term is, I like to call this the fire science types of programs. We're teaching people how to be firefighters, right? And we've done a pretty good job throughout Washington State and Oregon. There are a lot of fire science programs. For the last 10 years or so, Pierce College has had an associate degree in fire command that focuses more on the education side, not the fire science side, but more down along this line. There have been other programs in Washington State that have done this, but they've all folded up. Bellevue did it for a while. Everett Community College did it for a while. Olympic College did it for a while. And so far, we've been able to sustain it. And so we've had this fire command program. Now, in response to this need for higher education, the Fire Administration developed a set of standards called FESHE, or Fire and Emergency Services for Higher Education. They said, if you're going to get an associate degree, or if you're going to get a bachelor's degree online, this is what we think the curriculum should be. And it's a national curriculum, and we will get endorsed in it. So that's what we built our Bachelor of Applied Science around, were the FESHE standards. I'd also like to note too that through this process, so we've kind of moved the bar up this side, more up into this area of the development model. Through the process, and this is where it starts to get, I think, more relevant to you, and some of it, was that Linda's way of saying you're done, Bob? I expect the hook to come out.
She just touched it and it came back.
I must have hit a button. So where was I? Through this process, we were looking at it, and this is where I think starts to integrate a little bit more with what many of you are saying. And through my opportunity to work with Linda and the Center of Excellence, we begin to recognize that this is not just a 4-year program that we're looking at. We're looking at pathways. We're looking at what some people call it 2+2. We're looking at pathways for people who don't necessarily have an associate's degree in fire that can still come in and take the upper division courses to get the BAS degree. They have to meet certain foundational, like Daryl's program, for example, or criminal justice people, or we have a whole bunch of paramedics out there that have degrees from Central Washington that don't necessarily need to go back and start at the bottom over here. So we look at that pathway for people coming in, and there's a number of them. So through that process, we also renamed the program. We realized that this is also what I guess I would call an upside down program. They learn all the technical skills and the basics at the lower division level. And we're focusing on leadership and management. That's what our program will focus on within the FESHE framework, right? Took my knee a long time to learn how to say FESHE. But we decided that we renamed it. We're renaming the whole program Fire Service Leadership and Management because our advisory board felt that call it Fire Command is really not accurate. What we're really teaching is leadership and management. So we've renamed it the Fire Service Leadership and Management Program. And we've got approval from the state last fall. We're taking our final curriculum to the state in about a month. But since we're based on a national standard, we're not anticipating any problems there. And then we have a few final processes to go through, but we fully anticipate starting this program up fall of 2019. It'll be all online. And we're going to try to do kind of a light cadre where we bring people in and kind of move them through, but we recognize the nature of the people that are going to be taking this are already, it's already working firefighters. They're already probably working fire officers, and they're not going to simply be able to go to school full time. So we built the program around that concept. So to kind of recap, it's all going to be all online. We are integrating with the IFSAC certifications that are already out there and the fire apprenticeship program that is growing emphasis in Washington State. And looking at that pathway to where people can come in through different pathways, different occupations, and engage. And one of the examples I use is a fire chief I know really, really well. Top of the line, he's got a degree in mining. So he doesn't need to come back here and get an associate degree in fire command. He's already quite seasoned, quite a competent fire chief, and he would be one that we would see come in and at the upper division level. So that's what we're up to. That's what we're talking about. Oh, one other piece, and it's going to come up later with the Homeland Security degree. We didn't this time around, but we fully envisioned that we're going to create a number of standalone certifications, and I want to do that within the core courses for the up 300, 400 courses, or 300 or 400 level courses. And the intent is that people that have special areas of interest, for example, wildland firefighter, hazardous materials, safety, emergency management, emergency medical management, airport fire suppression and management, things like that, that we want to create kind of a whole where people can come in and take those kinds of specialties within the degree. So that's what we're looking at, that's what we're doing. It really is an exciting time right now. Eastern Oregon, University of Eastern Oregon has a similar program, and they do an excellent job with it. But the community, the fire service community in Washington State, felt like we wanted something that was really more focused on Washington State, that really training our officers for advanced positions, and also be able to offer those areas of specialization that I kind of mentioned, that we can provide pathways for people to come through, but we can also provide areas, even emergency management, that will support them. A lot of fires, I'll get to you in just a second. A lot of the fire departments, at least in my estimation, Carrie would know better, are starting to take more of a lead and a bigger responsibility in emergency management for the municipality. So I think that's kind of that next growth of evolution. You agree with that, Kurt? You work for Bellevue Fire.
Yeah, I do, I report to the fire chief, so, yeah, more and more you're seeing a broader range of experiences and needs for if you're gonna move up in fire command, absolutely.
And the fire department's taken a bigger responsibility,
Yeah.
a role in emergency management. That's kind of that evolution. I go back to the days where I was going to Humboldt State and I was only one of 4 EMTs in Humboldt County
Wow.
to now where we've seen this evolution with the fire service. And I think that's the next big metamorphosis. So that's why we're all excited about this. And that's why Linda gave me the opportunity to come and talk to make sure that you understand that this isn't just a standalone, that the fire service really is looking at workforce people, providing pathways for people to come into this, but also to be that partner with Homeland Security and others so that we're working closer together. Go ahead.
Yeah, the question I got, you talked a lot about the professionals who are already in the service now. Especially from the military perspective, guys who've never been in the fire service. As an entry-level firefighter in Washington State, there's still a lot of requirements, such as, do you have this number of hours in an internship or something in fire service, and things like that. So what is the bridge that you have from the new people that are going through this program and getting into the actual fire academy or the application itself?
Okay, there's multiple parts to the answer, but I'll give you a brief answer to say that virtually all the departments, I shouldn't say all, most departments are not necessarily looking at an entry level. They're going to hire you in and put you through the training academy they recognize and sponsor. There are programs such as at Bates where you can go through and get that initial academy. What you're really talking about is here for them, right? And the ISAC certifications that they can get along the way. Our program is focused, the Fire Service Leadership and Management is really, the target audience are really incumbent firefighters, working firefighters, people who are fire officers looking for advancement. That's really where this program comes in. So I would advise anybody that wants to enter, and our fire command, I do get entry-level people. And frankly, I think it's a bad way to go, honestly. And I'm not unbiased, because if you get hired by Bellevue Fire Department, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to put you through the academy.
Right.
Regardless of your background, they're going to put you through their academy. And so it has not, I have had situations advising military people in particular, go ahead and come into the Fire Command program, start building this side of your education. You've got that behind you, and then when you go into the fire service, they're going to give you the skills that you need on the other side. Does that make sense? Harry, do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, I go through buildings academy, most of them are like that. There's also an East Side Coalition, but still you go through their program prior to being flying out.
Yeah, and that's something we've done good for 100 years, or better for the last period of time. So I think the short answer on yours is, yeah, and really I always tell them, become a volunteer. They're going to put you through the types of training
And
that she's
there,
talking about.
it used to be that it was only young people that, you'd have to be 20 or something like that to be an initial firefighter. More and more we're seeing military folks that come in that have had some experience in other areas and now want to be firefighters that are a little bit older.
I've actually seen, and of course, North Bend State Academy has really a top program, but I've seen people go through that, get hired, and then turn around and sit back through it because that department wants to monitor them as they go through the program. So I think that's part of your, and a piece of that is that through the old Fire Command program, which is now changing names, they can get prior learning experience that they've had from the military. They get up to 21 credits prior learning. So if they get any of these IFSAC certifications and they come out of the military, they can get prior learning credits toward the associate degree. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And military are really good group to come in. So, any other questions?
Bob, do you want to talk a little bit? I know that Bates thought that they might be able to come down with you and talk about their apprenticeship program, but I think certainly for folks looking at the K-12 career pathway opportunities, do you want to share just a little bit about the work that is done in the high schools with like the apprenticeship programs and Bates?
Yeah, I can speak briefly on it. I did invite Chief Piper to come down and coordinate something. He just couldn't make it. But if you weren't aware, there is a fire service apprentice program. Excuse me. And I want to split that here a little bit. The fire apprentice program really is for newly hired firefighters. It's basically a 3-year apprentice where it's kind of Bates's territory, and they offer some of the classes here. We overlap, and I'm starting to revisit with Bates on sharing courses. We do overlap some of the courses, but most of the fire apprenticeship program is done over a 3-year cycle on the job. They have, similar to FEMA has with the field qualification system, and some of those where they go through evolutions on the job to advance eventually to journeyman status. And we looked at that to make that a seamless transition from, particularly with for the apprentice program, to go directly into our BAS degree. By the way, I've been having conversations with Southern Illinois University that has a master's degree, and I forget the exact title, but it's a combination fire and emergency management degree. And a good friend of mine just took over coordinator there, and so we are looking at having a clean articulation from our bachelor's degree program into that master's degree program.
Very good.
Yeah, and it's online. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so there is that apprenticeship program. Oh, the other side of that, when I said to split the hair, and most of you are familiar, there are vocational,
Yes.
there are programs at the high school level, at the vocational schools. I know in Thurston County, where I'm from, the New Market has a program like that. And I thought there was one in this area somewhere. So that does address the high school, but they are working over here. I've actually had one of the start students take classes in the fire command program, and I usually say, you got to have some background to understand these, but I'm surprised how well a lot of them do. If they have connections to people they can talk to, it works pretty well. Linda, do you have anything else?
I think, do anybody else have some questions here?
I've got one last, first of all, the fire community is very excited about this, like I said. The hardest thing for us to convince the school to move forward on it, like I said, Linda and I had this vision years ago, and we've been kind of encouraging the school. Their biggest concern is that we build it, will they come? And I keep saying they're going to come, that isn't the problem, but where you can help support through your resources is to help people understand that this is a whole community approach, and that there are various pathways into this degree, and kind of help us make the program survive. There's only one other one, Eastern Oregon, which is a great program, but really on the West Coast. We're going to be doing a FESHE endorsed associate degree program in Washington State.